Just like in the Puffy case at the very end, they move to dismiss some of the charges and then double down on the ones they think they can win. It's racist and it's wrong, and somebody ought to say so. I think I just did. Not for the benefit of Puffy, but on behalf of all the other black men who have been and sadly will be woefully overcharged in the future. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. As always, we welcome your feedback.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning. Happy Friday. God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First, and my first thing today, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. It is a Freedman Friday. That's because every Friday around here is a Freedman Friday where we focus on reparations, a comprehensive conversation meant to move the issue forward. We're dedicated to this. We've been doing it, close to, over a year and a half, moving in on 2 years. So the way the show goes on Friday, hour 1, we look local, what's happening on the Pacific Ocean side of town. Hour 2, we talk reparations. Hour 3, we do a thing. And today that thing is, heading to Africa. Well, it's more of a recap because you went to Africa with us, but there's some stuff we can still cover, and we're going to leave it in this week unless y'all want to talk about it. But for those who haven't been tracking, Miles and I just returned from Benin, Ghana, and Nigeria, sweep of West Africa, and had some real experiences, met a lot of folks, and got stuff up on socials for you at KBLA 1580, at DiPrima Radio, and at Miles Low Music, so you can see as you hear. So all of that is coming up, and you're always invited in at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. For Freedman Friday, we're going to be talking with attorney Jean-Pierre Brutus, senior counsel in the Economic Justice Program at the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. He actually leads their reparations advocacy, a member of the Reparations Narrative Lab. And so this is a conversation I am truly looking forward to. As I said, you're always invited in. If you don't want to call, some of you are shy, hang out with us on YouTube, youtube.com, KBLA 1580. You can put your comments in the chat. You can see me. You can talk to the KBLA delegation. All of that is going on, and also tap in or, comment, participate via socials. We're at KBLA 1580 everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, pretty much everywhere. We're not on Blue Sky yet, but pretty much I'm on Blue Sky, DiPrima Radio. You can find me all those places too, DIPRIMA, and then radio. So, yeah. Happy Friday. Who's joining me this every other Friday happens to be the president, founder of ES Advisors. It's an electoral and public policy consultancy firm. He's also a regular contributor on KBLA. Ed Sanders, good morning.
Hey, Dominique. Good morning. Welcome back. I haven't talked to you since you got back from the trip.
Yeah, right. Since we hit the ground running, from Nigeria and Ghana and Benin, man, I think we could have used a day of sleep, but we're glad to be back. And
You
we,
sound supercharged and ready to go.
yeah,
So
I
that's
it's
fantastic.
because we came back to a whole bunch of stuff, Ed. It's like we can't even leave you guys alone for 1 second.
I was going to say when you left, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, but Lord have mercy, it just keeps coming.
It does,
And
doesn't it?
so, yeah. So I know you track a lot of stuff around water and therefore, by kind of extension, the environment. And it's been a mission of the stations for the past couple of years. And now we're looking at, I always talk about how the local connects to the state, connects to the national. Well, when we look at what's
Right.
going on with our environmental regulations here in the state of California, efforts to keep emissions down, our 30 by 2030 goals, even our national parks, all of that is actually under threat at the moment because of budget cuts, the challenges to our right to keep ourselves clean and healthy in the courts by this Trump administration, and sort of the targeting of California as a whipping boy for the MAGA agenda. What do you make of that, Ed?
Well, you open it up with sort of the right frame. The Our natural resources are always, we're fighting for our natural resources on so many different fronts. You talked about the federal relationship, and you look at it, and there is, I want to say, almost half of the state is really federally run land territory, and so the our relationship to the federal government, matters, and it matters a lot. Just one, for that perspective, that the federal government oversees a lot of the land in California, but two, when you start looking at who has the pockets to do the things that we need to do, whether it's repairing a dam so that we can save enough water that people in areas can get fresh water, or the resources to fight wildfires. A lot of that comes from the federal government. And to your point about this administration, we saw it in the 2016 administration, and we're seeing it again now in a more harsh, coordinated fashion, where resources that could be used in California are being diverted elsewhere or simply aren't being sent. And so that, coupled with our state budget woes, and certainly we're feeling that on some of the local levels as well, impacts a lot of the things that we would like to do towards climate change. But then a lot of the things that we're doing currently, we're seeing cuts being proposed. So
Yeah,
uh,
that's the part that seems really unconstitutional. If Congress has already allocated the funds, the programs are already in motion, and now the feds are trying to claw stuff back. At the same time, the Department of Justice, which of course is doing the bidding of the president, has said that the president has a right to overturn national monuments. I have never heard of that. Like where he can just say, "Oh no, we're going to do logging here." Or we're going to do development here. And we've got a president who's a real estate developer. So what we're looking at is the possibility of national parks, which are not just fun places to hang out, but reserves of natural resources, possibly becoming, Trump towers or some kind of development, logging, areas. And so we could be looking at really a sea change in how we manage our natural resources, not just in California, but across the whole country.
yeah, it's godly. I mean, you lay it out. But I remember in the first term, we were talking about, this, and we were talking about, really how they weren't tracking data, like specifically like the EPA and some agencies where they just stopped tracking some of the important data,
Right.
meaning, how many oil spills are happening in the country. You This is a country that needs oil. It lives on oil. When we extract it from the ground, there are oil spills, and they take place. But when the EPA doesn't track where they are, you run the risk of oil, contamination getting into the land, getting into your rivers and water supplies. The point being, when you look at this Trump administration, they're pulling back all the protections on land as you laid out, and for silly reasons, right? Like if we're going to build, a resort here, there, that sort of thing. You're going to look up, and we will see that for future generations, the pristine beauty of this country is going to be ruined, and it doesn't take much to spoil the landscape of, say, a Yosemite National Park.
Right. And it's not just a landscape. Like those are open lands that provide, that process carbon monoxide in our atmosphere, that provide, relief for the overdevelopment of our cities. I was feeling good because President Biden, at least on the way out the door, designated a couple of national monuments. The Chuckwalla National Monument is 625,000 acres of mountain ranges in Riverside County. And that's one of the parks or monuments that the Trump administration is asking the Department of Interior to claw back.
Yeah, it's again, there's so much at play, right? It's not just the land on top, but a lot of it has to do with mineral rights. The ability to extract. Any number of things from oil to minerals. And, you know what it is. You know that there's somebody with their eyes on some dollar signs. They're in Trump's ear, and they're pushing the federal administration to do it. And, that's the story of this administration.
And it's also mining, right? And the recreation business, people that do make their money off of it. But I thought it was encouraging that the administration is slowing this down a little bit, because apparently the fisher people, anglers, hunters, and veterans have been showing up saying, no, don't do this. And those aren't political lobbying groups. Those are just regular people.
Yeah, but they're his type of regular people, right? But, it always comes back to that. But if like I'm thinking of some spaces in the state where there are some sand dunes. I forgot where they are, but they're typically used by folks that go out and do the sand buggies and all that sort of stuff, and they're always in a battle with the Coastal Commission and or state regulators around their ability to use sand dunes in sort of a protected area in a fashion that is more recreational. When they turn out with all the American flags, and it looks like a MAGA march,
right?
And those are his people, right? And when you see that crowd turning out, then he starts to listen.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but there's a few things his people are currently balking at that I'm hoping, they can save us from some of their own agenda. Ed Sanders is here, and I welcome you to weigh in. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. When we come forward, Ed, I wasn't expecting people to fight federal agents. I mean, not that they're like having a war, but there's some real resistance going on that's more than just holding signs and chanting. I wonder what you make of that. We'll talk about it when we come forward. I'm talking about, of course, the ICE raids, as they call them, Homeland Security, FBI, whoever these folks are, the masked men in our community. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima. He's Ed Sanders, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
Febreze.
It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze. La 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 la.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
So, although LA's not burning, Southern California is not the way the news initially portrayed it. There's some resistance going on, real robust resistance to these ICE raids. The latest at a cannabis farm in Camarillo, where yesterday they showed up in ICE, Homeland Security, a National Guard, showed up in full military formation, apparently, reportedly, to get workers there. It's obviously it's legal to grow cannabis in California. That was a legal grow. It wasn't one of the many illegal grows throughout San Bernardino and Northern California where they could actually maybe find some cartel members. These are just regular people working, picking tomatoes, cucumbers, and weed. And people were blocking the road. They were protesting, trying to impede federal immigration enforcement. We've seen it in cities. We've seen it on farms. I wasn't expecting this kind of resistance. What do you think? Ed, you there? We got Ed Sanders. Well, okay.
Sorry about that. Sitting here touching my mute button, but I'm not surprised at this, and I think it's sort of the natural reaction to the shape and form of these raids, and I think they're designed to bring this sort of reaction forward. When I look at Stephen Miller and just, you think back through all the horrendous things that he's thought and said, that he's actually trying to provoke these sorts of reactions so that they can respond in kind. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, no one is going to sit by passively while, it's not that homes are raided. It's that, doors are being kicked in and people are being dragged out and, almost a bag thrown over their head, and that's the last you see of them. That sort of behavior is never going to just go unanswered in a country like ours, and so I think you're starting to see it. I'm always confused at how, I imagine those were the workers from the farm, but, you can tell that the raids, they're staging, right? And their press are there, and it's sort of like, here we are, and they're sort of allowing a crowd to come and form, and then they go into their actions. It is all for, Fox News. It's also that the moment, Fox News you could turn on, you're going to see, protesters or, migrants are clashing with federal agents, and it scares the other half of the country into thinking that, I pray that they never go to live ammunition. Let me put it that way, and that's what I fear these tactics are.
But people are already getting their faces broken, limbs severed by the so-called less lethal. People die from less lethal. I think it's a very deceptive name. A federal judge is supposed to has issued a tentative ruling yesterday that seems to show she's going to order the administration to stop the stops and arrests. This is in response to a lawsuit by some of the immigration advocacy groups. The judge was saying it looks like the judge may limit to having to identify, criminal intent, or I guess reasonable suspicion that there's criminal action, rather than just being able to round people up. This is ACLU Public Counsel along with immigration advocacy groups, and a couple of citizens, one citizen that they held in custody even though he showed his ID. So it looks like we could see a ruling as early as today that could shut that down. Do you think they're going to comply? Because I feel like this administration is just ignoring judges.
Yeah, that was good. That was going to be my response, was that I think this administration views it as another judicial challenge that, in their remaking of America, that, a U.S. federal judge can't stop a national action. And, they've tried it on a couple other, or at least they laid that argument out on a couple other cases. And so, to your point, I actually don't think they'll stop. I don't think they'll feel compelled to stop based on a federal judge. And that challenge alone will get up to the Supreme Court. And so, in the late summer, as the Supreme Court starts getting at it again, you see some immediate challenges that may be coming before them.
Yeah, it was a Biden-appointed judge. And I like that she said, she's saying, you guys are saying there's criminal action, but then we don't see anything like that here, which makes it difficult for the court to accept your description of what is happening, because there's no proof that that is what is happening, as opposed to what the plaintiffs are saying is happening. In other words, you guys are saying you're keeping us safe and you're dealing with crime, but all we see is people who are minding their business being rounded up. That's going to be an interesting showdown. I mean, how much and I don't mean to say interesting, important showdown, because how long and how much can they ignore the courts, this administration?
I think they can, listen, I think they feel emboldened, and it is a question of, Well, look, I mean, we see these guys in the hoods and everything. They're taking their cues from Trump. They're not taking their cues from anybody else, and so that really is the problem.
It infuriates me, to be honest with you, the fact that these folks are running around with masks. It infuriates me. They're like ghastly, terrible terrorist bullies. You've got your face covered. You've got weaponry, military gear. It's infuriating. There's nothing about that says Democratic Republic.
Yeah, no. And I mean, I've never seen a job description for these jobs. Like, I haven't seen, where you apply for them. And I say it sort of tongue in cheek, but it just looks like they've brought in, thousands of white guys from all over the country rather quickly, and I don't remember understanding or even hearing what the hiring process looked like.
Has anyone compared the roster of people who got pardoned for January 6th with the employment roster for these ICE agents?
Man, Dominique, I think you're hitting it right there. These guys have come into this administration. You see they're on, they're ready. These look like the Proud Boys and all of that sort of group.
Right, without the horns. Yeah.
You don't see open secrets. I know you're not going to be able to find their names and salaries and that sort of stuff. But to your point, you can only imagine how many of the January 6th, criminals are part of this group. And the point being, all of this is sort of designed, we've joked about like the next Civil War, but that's kind of what this is. This is, they're armed and they've turned on our communities. So we've got a lot to sort of prepare for.
Well, I'm encouraged by the fact that folks are not just unquestioningly going along with everything. 800-920-1580, that's the number. We've got news, traffic, and sports, and more talking only right here.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Black Michigan church deacon who stopped a mass shooting by ramming the gunman with his truck just got a new Ford F-150.
Definitely love him in the Ford F-150, that's for sure. So I definitely appreciate everything.
Richard Pryor's truck was totaled in the act, and Demmer Ford in Wayne gave him a replacement on Thursday. A federal judge in L.A. is expected to rule against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. She signaled agents must have reasonable suspicion to detain someone and that detainees must have access to lawyers. A final ruling could come today. And San Francisco 49ers wide receiver DeMarcus Robinson has been sentenced to probation after pleading no contest to a DUI. He was arrested last November for driving over 100 miles an hour. The NFL is reviewing the case, and a 3-game suspension is likely. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Because Bronny James played in only 27 games last season for the Lakers, he's playing with the Lakers rookies and free agents in the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. The Summer League tipped off Thursday night with Bronny and the Lakers facing rookies and free agents from the Dallas Mavericks, including number 1 pick Cooper Flagg. Both players had moderate debuts. James finished with 8 points in 21 minutes. He missed a potential go-ahead three-pointer in the final seconds. Flagg ended up with 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. He was scoreless in the second half. Dallas won the game by 2. The HBCU Swingman Classic jumps off today in Atlanta as part of Major League Baseball's All-Star Weekend. Major League scouts will get a chance to see the best HBCU baseball players from around the country. MLB Network will have live coverage beginning at 4:30 Pacific Time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
LA County's Justice Care and Opportunities Department, also known as JCOD, is changing the justice system for Angelenos. If you or someone you love has recently been arrested, come home from jail or prison, or has been justice involved, JCOD can help. We offer access to housing, employment, court reminders, clothing, education, and more. At JCOD, we believe your life should not be defined by your worst moment, and everyone deserves a second chance. JCOD's Justice Connect Support Center is open 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Call us at 833-LAC-JCOD. That's 833-522-5263, or visit us at jcod.lacounty.gov. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and YouTube at LAC JCOD. All services are free and confidential. JCOD serves the justice-impacted population all across LA County. Your future isn't behind you, it's waiting. Reach out by calling 833-LAC-JCOD. That's 833-522-5263, or visit jcod.lacounty.gov.
Hey man, hey, what's up? What's that station you listening to? Oh man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio, KBLA 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education. Just to know, ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Appreciate you. Happy Freedman Friday. Ed Sanders is here, and we got a lot going on. Looking forward to talking with attorney Jean-Pierre Brutus, who will be joining us. He is with the New Jersey Reparations Council, among other things. Ed Sanders is with me now. There's so much to attack. I almost don't know where to go. I guess we're in the middle of another trade war escalation right now. Trump threatening 35% on Canada. Stock market going crazy. It seems, I don't know. I feel like it's so erratic. It's like we've got a guy. I was going to say smoking weed, but it's not even weed because it's something stronger, maybe meth. I don't know. It's like one day there's a tariff, next day there's no tariff. And one day they're all ishhole countries, the next day they're our trade partners. And we're shocked that they can speak English. It just feels erratic. It doesn't, even though there's a steady march on certain things like dismantling DEI, attacking trans people, which now they're going after their private medical records from clinics and hospitals and erasing them from the Stonewall Monument. I mean, there are some things that do seem steady, right? Firing federal workers, which a judge has just given them the green light to go ahead and do. Things that don't make sense because you're going to have more unemployment. But in any case, the other things seem so erratic. I don't understand how very wealthy are still supporting this guy because it seems like it's creating chaos on the world economic landscape.
It feels like it. And, you kind of look and you go back, it's interesting. Like I don't listen to the economic news like CNBC as much, right? And I feel like, I've got to spend more time doing that to see how they're reacting to some of this, right? Because a lot of my reactions are sort of governed by, he's challenging Canada with a 35% tariff, and I have a sense of what that means. But in its actuality, I don't know how it's actually hitting.
Right. But he's he's using tariffs in the most obnoxious way. Now he's saying that they're going to put a tariff on Brazil if they don't get rid of Bolsonaro, if they move forward with the Bolsonaro, prosecution. So he's trying to influence other people's criminal prosecutions using tariffs? That's just weird. Of course, Bolsonaro is like the Trump of Latin America.
Yeah, it's like it definitely is using the force of it all. But the market itself, like the stock market, has been going up like since April. I know that it dipped early, but it's been rising since. And your question was like, how are the wealthy sort of staying with him, right? And it just feels like as long as the stock market climbs, they're going to be with him, right? They're making money. And a lot of these tariffs are designed about, really giving them the upper hand. So it feels like he's winning. I don't know. It feels like he must be winning some of these things. But listen, this is something for a future show, but I'd be curious to see how economists are really viewing it, because I feel like I'm hearing more from like the news side of it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the New York Times today says he's giving the world whiplash. And I'll quote, 6 months into his new administration, Mr. Trump's assault on global trade has lost any semblance of organization or structure. He's changed deadlines suddenly, blown up negotiations at the 11th hour, raised unexpected issues, tied tariffs to complaints that have nothing to do with trade, like Brazil's treatment of its former president or the flow of fentanyl from Canada. And he's in the middle of negotiating with Canada, and now he's saying, we're going to hit you with 35%. I mean, it feels so erratic. He's announcing things on Truth Social, like Indonesia and Japan only found out about his demands on Truth Social. A 32% tariff. It's just, it feels so undisciplined. I don't know. It's like his handlers are letting him do tariffs, and they're enacting the rest of the fascist agenda so they can be disciplined and consistent. But when it comes to the world economy, CNN Business is reporting that prices are starting to jump. According to economists, researchers and analysts, we're starting to see consumer prices rise.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's where this all, hits the metal, or rubber hits the road, right? He ran, and what was the campaign? It was the price of eggs, right?
Right. So now he's suing California, saying it's our fault that eggs cost more because we want to have humane treatment of chickens.
The funny part about it is, and it's really not funny, but I mean, all of that, it's just sort of this blame game that comes from him, and it always does. But in the end game, when our cost of goods keeps going up, right, behind these actions, this is when we start to mobilize as we get towards the midterms. You see the reactions to the bill that passed. I think as people begin to understand what that's going to mean for, their pocketbooks and for people around them, whether it's on, the healthcare services or other issues that have been, raised out of this bill, this is when we start marshaling back our resources and our energies to vote these guys out. And we can't lose these elections coming up. That's what this all means.
You mean 2026? Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is it takes a while for stuff like tariffs to impact. So if we're already seeing appliances, according to CNN, appliances, toys, household furnishings up, apparel and footwear holding steady. But this is really early on. So by Christmas,
Yeah, well, you're seeing it now because the uncertainty early, right? Even as it came into office for companies, they didn't know which way to move. And your point is right. Decisions made today, in a lot of ways, you don't see the reaction to it for 6 to 9 months. And if you didn't get your orders in, for Christmas, right, like your supplies and build your product for Christmas, you're going to have a weaker Christmas. So you'll see.
A 200% tariff on pharmaceuticals. I'm laughing because I don't think it's going to happen, but also that's crazy. Can you imagine what drug prices would do? I feel like he's like thrashing around.
Well, you wait for stuff that, particularly seniors need, right? Like if drug prices are up on seniors and there's that pressure, he'll feel it. His actions never match his rhetoric, right? Like if you put him up in front of a mic, he'll say that he wants to lower costs for seniors. And, that's what the country will hear. The actions of his administration won't match what he said, right? Like the actions will actually be there to raise the prices, and he'll be caught in sort of this. Well, I said I wanted the prices lower. It must be California's fault that the prices didn't go lower.
Yeah, I mean, Carl Tucker's in the chat saying the rich are on board still because of the tax cuts, and I think that's true. But my point, Carl, is how long are you going to stay on board? Because you still need customers. A tax cut alone is not going to sustain. I guess, if you're a billionaire, that's a very small percentage of rich people. Most of the rich people are millionaires, right? Not billionaires. Right. And so when everything costs too much and everybody's laid off from the federal government and wherever else, all these different so-called DEI jobs and et cetera, who's going to buy your little Teslas? Tanya says, buy your Christmas gifts now and hide them in the house just to be on the safe side. Yeah, okay. I'm with that. But, what about the Christmas after that and the Christmas after that, or Kwanzaa or whatever you're, Hanukkah, whatever you're celebrating? I don't know. I think Carl is right, but it's getting to the illogical part. Because I think at a certain point, your greed for these massive tax cuts undermines your own business model and your economic outcomes. But I guess if you're planning to stay in office in 2028 without needing votes, then you don't care if people are paying more. You don't care if people are unemployed. If the unemployment numbers go up, if inflation numbers go up, I guess.
No, listen, you're hitting what is the true conversation, right? What we view Trump as is in some crazy way, but he makes you double down on why the U.S. government was set up the way, or why our government policies were the way they were in the 19th century or in the 1900s. Your point about like everyone needing money in order to be customers is really speaking to sort of worker rights, right? When
but also corporate sustainability. You know what I'm saying?
This is a stronger country when the middle class has wealth and access to be able to buy things, and your job as a president has never really been to make sure that the rich get richer. It is that the middle class can be stronger, so that, to your point, they can buy the goods that are produced in the country. And everything that you laid out right there is is counter to that, and that this administration is moving that way. That's why, when we get him out of there, we get to remake this country, the way we need it to be. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we understand it, the more crystal clear we are on why we double down on the things we do. We don't, there's always been this fight recently around, who or why we have unions. This is why we have unions, is that the worker class has to protect itself from Trump and the oligarchs in this country.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I got to ask you when we come forward your thoughts about the way that the Democratic Party is actually colluding with the Republican Party right now to try to take down Democratic Socialist Zoran Mondani, who's leading the polling for New York City mayor. It is, you want to talk about, they're going to have me saying duopoly, uniparty, if they keep this crap up. I just, as a person who's a veteran of many an election and many campaign, I'm curious what your thoughts are. It's very instructive if you watch what's happening here. 800-920-1580. You weigh in if you want to. If not, hop in the chat. They're doing a lot in the comments section on YouTube. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes. Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580. Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Hello, family. This is Dr. Rosa Milligan, self-appointed mayor of South Central LA. I'm sounding the alarm. AI, artificial intelligence, is not coming. It's already here. Join me with a powerful Zoom seminar that will teach you how to use AI for your personal and business use. Go to mytechacademy.net or call 213-878-4742.
Let's be real. Too many black businesses missed out on COVID PPP loans because they weren't tech ready. We can't afford to be left behind again. This time, we must lead. Register today at mytechacademy.net or call 213-878-4742.
You know me, Dr. Rosa, trusted voice of the people, 50 years fighting for literacy, technology, and living trust education. And now, I got your back on AI. Go to mytechacademy.net or call 213-878-4742. Your future is calling. Answer it.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
It does, and you're part of that. Ed Sanders is with us. So, Trump, the president, he who shall not be named, he's got a lot of nicknames, though. I have a friend that said to me, well, we should be rooting for him to win, for him to be right, not win the election. He already, he's the president, whether you think he won or not. That we should be hoping he's right, hoping that he, somehow sees something that we're not seeing with these tariffs and all of these other weird moves that he's making in terms of Ukraine and Russia and Gaza. And I was watching a video by Marianne Williamson, who I, really happen to enjoy her work as a self-help author, New Age thinker. And she was saying that we have to get to a place where we're not just where we're praying for people, where we're putting them in our prayers rather than just saying they're irredeemable. Even the Stephen Millers and Marco Rubios of the world. What do you think about that? I mean, should we be hoping he's right? Should we be praying for these folks instead of just saying they're evil, they must go?
I mean, look, in some sense, you want, yes, I want the Americans to win on the global stage, right? But I'm not altogether sure of the conflict, right? Like, let's
what are we winning? What
are we fighting? Like, China is bad. You kind of go all the way back. Why is China bad? And is this all rooted in some, European, white supremacist need to dominate the entire planet? Is that why we're saying we're rooting for the United States? But the true answer is, even if we quote win, what does it mean for me? Like, what does it mean for me and my family? What does it mean for you and your family? Where what we've seen and what we haven't seen any evidence of is that, a win filters down to us as Americans. A win means that billionaires get richer, not that there's any more tangible benefit. In fact, what he's showing us is that he's going to pull back things that are near and dear, whether it is eventually Social Security. Very clearly half the people that benefited from Obamacare access to health care are going to lose that benefit over the next couple of years. So, no, what are we winning? We're not winning. And there is, once you understand that, now you understand the evil that they are. And so, no, I disagree with her completely.
Yeah, so then this is, I should have brought this up earlier because you're one of the more sports-informed folks that I know, but the Dodgers have been under pressure from the Latino community to step up and make statements and stand with their biggest fan base, and they've been reluctant to do it. Then we found out that the billionaire owner of the Dodgers, Mark Walter, has investments in the GEO Group, a private prison corporation that's making money off of these ICE detentions. On today's LA Times has an article talking about how the Dodgers lobbied on Capitol Hill in the past under previous ownership to stop reparations for Mexican Americans who were pushed out of the Dodgers, that the site where they built their stadium, and that they may have been lobbying against the people who were petitioning for them to stop having Phillips 66, 76 brand gasoline as a sponsor because of their campaign to cover up the climate crisis. So it seems like not only are they silent, it looks like they're actually in opposition to much of what their fan base is asking for and would serve in their best interests. Are they going to pay a price for this, or are people just going to, go with the PR?
Look, the Dodgers are a Los Angeles brand, right? Like, they are a brand, and they sort of define, through the relationship with the sport, Los Angeles. When the Dodgers win, the city feels great, but it's a fan base thing. But layered under that is the history, right? And to know the history of the team moving from Brooklyn and what had to happen in Chavez Ravine in order for them to build the stadium, it's a blemish. And it's always been, this, Fernando Valenzuela, when he became the pitcher, changed the brand, and it changed the brand for Latino, particularly Mexican-American fans. And, he brought that fan base to the Dodgers. It's been something that they have benefited from through the years. They've done branding specifically towards Spanish-speaking populations. All the while, their history of what happened in Chavez Ravine, where they were forcibly removing, Latino residents so that they could build the stadium, that was there. That never changed. And so you build on that, and now you've got this owner that's basically backing the companies that are locking up migrants. I don't know how the brand can reconcile that. Right.
Yeah, they're pledging $1 million to help immigrant families while profiting off ICE through the investment in the geo groups. I feel like they should pay a price, but it seems like they're not going to.
Well, we'll see. I think this brand can sour just as quickly. It took a lot of years and sweat for it to get to where it is, and you can lose it like that. And honestly, I think they will have lost their ties to the Hispanic community very quickly by the end of this summer.
Interesting. Well,
look, we watch what's happening with Target, and
that's
sort
true.
of.
But then Essence decides to have them as a sponsor, the Essence Festival. Are you kidding me?
Well, Essence should have had them by a sponsor. There's, this is the Essence Festival. They were a sponsor before the thing.
Yeah, but a lot of people are boycotting Essence because they're not boycotting Target. So I think you're right. Consumers are a little bit more paying attention, perhaps, than we have been in the past. So hopefully this changes policy, causes divestment, makes real change. Ed Sanders, it's always fun to talk with you. Thank you so much for waking up on a Friday morning with me.
Glad you're back. Have a great one today.
Absolutely. Edward M. Sanders is where you can find him on Twitter. It's Freedman Friday. Looking forward to a comprehensive reparations conversation next.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Black Michigan church deacon who stopped a mass shooting by ramming the gunman with his truck just got a new Ford F-150.
Definitely love him in the Ford F-150, that's for sure. So I definitely appreciate everything.
Richard Pryor's truck was totaled in the act, and Demmer Ford in Wayne gave him a replacement on Thursday. A federal judge in L.A. is expected to rule against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. She signaled agents must have reasonable suspicion to detain someone and that detainees must have access to lawyers. A final ruling could come today. And San Francisco 49ers wide receiver DeMarcus Robinson has been sentenced to probation after pleading no contest to a DUI. He was arrested last November for driving over 100 miles an hour. The NFL is reviewing the case, and a 3-game suspension is likely. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Because Bronny James played in only 27 games last season for the Lakers, he's playing with the Lakers rookies and free agents in the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. The Summer League tipped off Thursday night with Bronny and the Lakers facing rookies and free agents from the Dallas Mavericks, including number 1 pick Cooper Flagg. Both players had moderate debuts. James finished with 8 points in 21 minutes. He He missed a potential go-ahead three-pointer in the final seconds. Flagg ended up with 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. He was scoreless in the second half. Dallas won the game by 2. The HBCU Swingman Classic jumps off today in Atlanta as part of Major League Baseball's All-Star Weekend. Major League scouts will get a chance to see the best HBCU baseball players from around the country. MLB Network will have live coverage beginning at 4:30 Pacific Time.